This is Dr. James Boys, and Dr. Boys is Associate Professor of International Political Studies at the American University here in London, and our Foreign Affairs Editor Tim Marshall joins us again with his perspective. Well, Dr. Boys, what do you make of this?
I think it's fascinating, Eamon. This is a story which really works on pretty much every level. There's a human element to this, there's an intelligence level to this, there's a diplomatic level to all this. So it really is a perfect story, I guess, from the media perspective. I think one of the fascinating things which hasn't been picked up on yet is the way, though, which various news outlets are portraying this. So I was just looking through The Guardian, for example, and there's a story in there talking about Alan Duncan and his friendship, quote-unquote, with William Hague. So they've named the Conservative minister there. The same newspaper, though, when it comes to reporting upon a potential Labour minister who has had a hound dog relationship with women, supposedly, they've chosen not to name him. I think that's quite an interesting interpretation and how to spin the story politically.
Well, I suppose, Tim, everybody can afford to be selective. There's something for everyone when you look here, because how much information are we talking about? How many documents are we talking about?
Well, actually, it's 2.7 million, but of the 2.7 million, there's 250,000 which are really worth looking at, and of the 250,000, there's X hundred which are juicy, so to speak. It's worth making the point that, of course, you know, our newspapers, our media are busy looking at the British angles on various things, quite understandably. But every country in the world is doing what we're doing and looking at their own angle, and all the gaffes, the alleged insults, the policies are magnified in, say, Russia, in New Zealand, or whichever country it is. This is having a huge effect around the world.
And what effect would you say it's having, Dr. Boys, then?
I think what it's doing, and I think Tim's referred to this in several of his reports, is this idea that what it's doing is peeling away the veneer. There's an awful lot of stories here which we thought, OK, we've got a vague understanding about what it's doing. It's confirming an awful lot of what has been suspected, some of the things which are spoken about, you know, not on air necessarily, but in newsrooms around the world. And it's removing this idea of plausible deniability, I think, from the scales of the United States.